much, Senator Blackburn. I'm going to turn to Senator Luján.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I want to thank you and the ranking member for today's important hearing and for all of the witnesses to be here, especially the powerful testimony, Ms. Hamsmith. Story needs to be heard more and more. And I know that other outlets have done their due diligence to make sure parents and families are aware. But just thank you for continuing to be an advocate and the courage and the strength to be with us today. Thank you. Mr. Chairman, as the holidays are upon us, and we're always reminded that it's supposed to be a time to come together and to celebrate family and community, this hearing is really important because as we heard with the powerful testimony today, oftentimes these toys are given with the best of intentions and without maybe even the proper warning of what should be on there, which is what the advocacy is. And that's only made worse with counterfeit products. Because if you have products that we know that are being manufactured under the guidelines in the regulatory environment, and they're still missing the mark, what happens when a product is counterfeit? In addition to that, we also know that there's price gouging taking place. And I was proud to join Senator Blumenthal, our chairman, in introducing a piece of legislation called Stopping the Grinch Bots Act, which is contributing to that. And when there are fewer, in this case, gaming devices that are out on the market, then there are more counterfeits that enter and then more dangers that result from that. Parents deserve fair pricing and safe products, not just for this time of year, but for all parts of the year. Ms. Rhodes, you outlined in your testimony the availability of counterfeit goods online is a problem year-round. So in my home state, one of the other areas that we have concerns with counterfeit products are Native American art, crafts, which have cost local artists millions and millions of dollars. Most of the imitations are created overseas, imported, and then sold here in the United States as genuine. It's a violation of federal law and needs to stop. And it's just every time I get a chance to talk about it, I remind everyone that you're going to go to jail if you're doing this once you're caught, and you will get caught. What's more, counterfeit safety gear can also cost people's lives. Last year in the Energy and Commerce Committee hearing, when I was a member of the House, there was a counterfeit bike that was brought in, a counterfeit bicycle helmet that was brought in. And they asked if I would stand on that bicycle helmet. I told them, well, I might crush it under normal circumstances, but they assured me by standing on one that I would wear regularly when I'm out riding my bike, that it would not crush the way that this one did. I stood on it, gave it a little bit of pressure, like an eggshell. And earlier that year, myself, I had a pretty serious fall where I went over the handlebars. My helmet stopped me from doing additional damage because I went into a bunch of rocks. So these counterfeit goods, in addition to the lack of safety standards, could very well cost people their lives. So the question that I have for the panel is, yes or no, do counterfeit products online pose a threat to the health and safety of consumers? Ms. Rhodes?
Yes.
Dr. Hoffman?
Absolutely.
And Ms. Lawrence?
Yes, they do.
And Ms. Rhodes, what steps should online platforms take to eliminate the presence of counterfeit goods?
Online platforms should inform the consumers as much information as they can about who they are purchasing good from. They can also, they can also use their platform to navigate what are dangerous listings and make sure they're removing them immediately.
So according to PIRG's annual Toy Safety Report for 2021, your organization also found multiple examples of recalled products available for sale online. So what more should these platforms do to ensure that dangerous recalled products aren't available on their sites?
For hosting sites, they should make sure that they are reviewing for recalling products. But for recalling companies, there needs to be more accountability in the system. One way could be the CPSC releasing an annual report looking at recall participation rates. We can also have recalling companies promote the recall the same extent that they would promote the product to begin with.
So recently, the CPSC also took action to recall more than 10 million magnets that also pose serious death concerns if people were to swallow those rare earth magnets as well. This year, less than a third of recalled products are actually corrected or destroyed. So there's still an uphill battle, even with the current standard of the CPSC. So my question is, how do we improve those numbers, and how can Congress and CPSC improve the effectiveness of product recalls?
Absolutely. And that goes to the recalling companies promoting and marketing, which they could do through a bunch of means. This could be through targeted social media ads, just actually promoting the recall on their social media pages. They can even use the influencers that they pay to promote the product to also talk about the product recall. The most important thing is getting awareness into the public. And while consumers can learn about recalls and even report bad incidents on saferproducts.gov, most consumers are not aware that that database exists. So it's important to also market saferproduct.gov and have the CPSC really highlight how important that database is and how it can be used by consumers.
I appreciate that. Mr. Chairman, I do have a few other questions. I'll submit them to the record. But again, I want to thank the witnesses. And Ms. Sam-Smith, I'm sorry that you have to be here today, but I am grateful that you are. Thank you again, Mr. Chairman.